Today, Ukraine strikes a warship near a crucial port. 2 US Navy sailors are charged with spying for China, Niger's ousted leaders appeal for help, and global sea temperatures hit a record high. From TLDR News, this is your daily briefing for Friday the 4th of August 2023. Russia's defense ministry said today that Ukraine had launched an overnight attack with 2 unmanned sea drones on the Russian Black Sea port at Novorossiysk, a key hub for Russian exports. Russia claims to have detected and foiled the attack. However, Ukrainian intelligence sources have told various outlets that the attack was successful in hitting and damaging a Russian warship. Multiple as yet unverified videos shared on social media show a Russian ship identified as the Olengorsky Gornyak, listing heavy to one side and being towed by other boats. A Ukrainian intelligence source said the ship received a serious breach and currently cannot conduct its combat missions. CNN quotes a source as saying a sea drone carrying 450 kilograms of TNT attacked the ship as part of a joint operation between the Ukrainian Security Service and Ukrainian Navy. The nearby civilian port, which according to Reuters handles 2% of the world's oil supply, as well as exporting large amounts of grain, briefly suspended all ship movement following the attack, but later resumed normal operations. Since Russia pulled out of the Black Sea grain deal, there's been an increase in clashes in and around the Black Sea. Russia just recently struck the Ukrainian port cities of Odessa and Chornomorsk, as well as Izmail, which sits just across the Danube River from NATO member Romania. There's more on the way, but be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to make the daily briefing part of your daily routine, or just search for us on your podcast app to listen along. Today, 2 US citizens have been arrested on charges of providing sensitive military information to China. Both men were arrested on Wednesday in California, and prosecutors announced the charges levelled against them on Thursday. The first individual, Jin Chao Wei, served as a machinist's mate on the amphibious assault ship the USS Essex. In this role, he held security clearance and had access to sensitive information about the ship. It's alleged that he was approached by a Chinese agent in February 2022 while he was on the path to becoming a US citizen, and ended up paying Wei thousands of dollars for photos, videos, and blueprints of the ship. The second individual, Wen-Heng Zhao, worked at a naval base in Ventura County near Los Angeles. He was approached slightly earlier in 2021 by a Chinese agent. Allegedly, the agent paid nearly $15,000 for photos and videos of a radar system in a US military base. If convicted, Mr. Wei could face between 20 years and life imprisonment, and Mr. Zhao faces up to 20 years in prison. We'll update you when the case develops. So that's what's been happening in the US today. Let's move and discuss what's been happening in Niger. The ousted president of Niger, Mohamed Bazoum, has written an op-ed in the Washington Post urging the United States and the international community to act to help restore constitutional order in the country, saying that if July's coup succeeded, it will have devastating consequences for our country, our region, and the entire world. Bazoum's call for help comes just days before a deadline set by the regional West African body ECOWAS is reached. ECOWAS has demanded that the military junta in Niger restore constitutional order and cede power back to the elected government by Sunday the 6th of August, or else they will take all measures necessary, which may include the use of force. Meanwhile, the bloc has imposed sweeping sanctions on Niger, as have Western partners, in the hope that this will be enough to force the military to back down. An ECOWAS military intervention in Niger could result in a full-on interstate conflict in West Africa, as Niger's military junta has vowed to fight back, and the coup leaders in neighbouring Mali and Burkina Faso have voiced support for the junta, saying that they would consider any intervention as an act of war against themselves. Meanwhile, Western countries have been evacuating their nationals from Niger amid fears for their safety. Shortly after the government was overthrown on July the 26th, supporters of the coup attacked the French embassy in Niamey. On Thursday, Niger's junta scrapped a number of military cooperation agreements with France, which has between 1,000 and 1,500 troops in the country to assist the fight against Al-Qaeda and IS-linked insurgencies. In bad news for humanity, it's been reported today that the average daily global sea surface temperatures has reached an all-time high, beating the previous sea surface temperature record set in 2016. The temperature was recorded at 20.96 degrees Celsius, which is far higher than what it ordinarily would be at this time of year. The reason this is significant is that oceans are what's known as a climate regulator, meaning that they soak up heat and produce about half the Earth's oxygen. The warmer the oceans are, the less able they are to absorb carbon dioxide. This in turn means that more carbon dioxide stays in the atmosphere, thus heating up the planet. It's also bad news for marine species, as in warmer waters they have to move to cooler ones to hunt instead. This upsets the food chain. Additionally, more aggressive animals such as sharks can become even more aggressive as they get confused in warmer water. All in all, it's yet another sign this summer that climate change is happening and is having a very real and very negative impact on the world around us. The Prime Ministers of 3 Baltic nations, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania, have agreed to speed up the disconnection of their power grids from Russia by almost a year, with the goal of integrating into the continental European grid by early 2025. Currently, the 3 countries are still part of the Soviet-era IPS-UPS power grid, which includes Belarus and Russia. Back in 2018, the Baltic nations agreed to decouple from this grid and join the continental European grid by the end of 2025. On Thursday, the 3 Prime Ministers signed an agreement to accelerate the transition by almost a year, with a statement saying achieving energy independence from Russia is a fundamental goal tied to our security and continuous economic development, adding that it holds strategic importance not only for us, but for the entire European Union. We end the main section with some uplifting news from Spain, where scientists have discovered a naturally occurring bacteria strain which can help stop the transmission of malaria from mosquitoes to humans. The scientists at the GSK lab found the bacteria accidentally during their research. Thomas Brewer, GSK's chief global health officer, called it an entirely novel approach for controlling malaria, a disease which kills more than 600,000 people a year. Their research revealed that the TC1 bacterial strain, which occurs naturally, has stopped malaria parasites from developing in the gut of mosquitoes. Further trials are taking place, and if successful, it could be another tool alongside things like vaccines in the fight against malaria. That's all we have time for on YouTube, but the briefing isn't over. That's because Rory quizzed me and Jack on this week's news.
Can I urge you to reconsider?
I'm going to go.
It's an absolute scam.
It's a massacre.
What colour were the bears?
Can you hear that music?
In the extended ad-free edition of the Daily Briefing, only on Nebula. That's the streaming service we're building with a bunch of our creator friends, many of whom you're likely to be already watching. That means that by signing up, you not only get an extended ad-free daily briefing every single day, you also get to watch exclusive and ad-free videos from the best educational creators on YouTube. That's things like Real Life Law's incredible Modern Conflicts, which breaks down contemporary disputes around the world, Neo's Underexposure, which beautifully dives into complex and shadowy topics you've always wanted to know more about, or Extremities from Wendover Productions, which uncovers some of the world's most remote places. All of these are only available on Nebula, just like our extended daily briefings and a whole bunch of other exclusive TLDR content which never comes to YouTube. If you want to sign up, use the link in the description so that they know you came through us. That helps us out a whole lot, as does watching on Nebula more generally. So thanks for signing up, and we'll see you on Nebula.